So today I'm going to be loading on a table in my kitchen with my portable setup. I've cut a piece of 2x6 to reach across this table just perfect. I always like to put the press on the board before I clamp it down, so I make 100% sure I've got plenty of room for my handle to move. Yeah, that's about it right there. This is just a crappy old IKEA table, so I don't mind marking it up a little bit. Looks like went a little overboard there at some point in the past. I generally use the Lee Perfect powder measure with this setup, but I'm actually going to switch out for the Deluxe Perfect powder measure today. So this old RCBS stand is going to be perfect. And a couple minutes later, here we are all set up. Now this is not the first time I've used this type of setup in a video. It's usually to show you how easy it is to get started or how to reload in a temporary space, but this is actually a necessity for me today. I'm doing some reorganizing. My big bench is actually torn apart right now, and I'm probably going to end up moving it downstairs, and I need to film a video for Sunday. So here we are. And this is a good setup. Like, I really like this setup. There's not a lot of compromise here. So I will be loading 7.62x39 today. I'm going to load some more of the 123 grain Hornady full metal jacket, and we'll be shooting my SKS. So in the last video, still trying to get used to the gun, trying to get used to the sights. Still got some more of that to do. So the range portion of today's video is going to be mainly about target practice. But a lot of good feedback after the last video. And one of the questions as I'm getting into the cartridge is, how fast of burning powder can we go and still run the action in a gun like the SKS? And I think more than one person mentioned that they shoot Alliant 2400 and it cycles their SKS. So I want to try it out today. I actually found the Lee manual has got load data for 123 grain jacketed bullets. So it's only 14.5 grains of powder is what I'm going to shoot today. We'll just load up 10 of those. We'll see if we can shoot a group with them, but also just want to see if it'll also run my SKS. The bulk of the ammo I want to load with Alliant Reloder 7. We did shoot Reloder 7 with 150 grain bullets in the last video. It's a popular choice for 7.62x39. It ought to do a great job here with some 123s as well. We're going to shoot S&B brass like last time, and we're going to shoot CCI 200 primers like last time. Now with these videos kind of like this, where I'm showing a setup that a beginner might be interested in, I usually get bogged down in details and it becomes a really long video. And a lot of people complain in the comments that it looks like too much work. So I'm going to show you the easy way today. I've already got everything set up. Here are my reloading dies. You'll see they've all got lock rings on them. Ain't going to be no messing with dies today. The powder measure we're using today is the Lee Deluxe Perfect powder measure. Now the adjustments on this guy have numbers and stuff, so you can dial in your number and keep records of that. But there's an even easier way to use this thing. If I go ahead and pull this out, we can use this Lee quick change drum set with this powder measure. So I've got one of these drums that is already set to throw 14.5 grains of Alliant 2400, and I've got another one set up to throw 25.5 of Reloder 7. You can see I was trying to use like a paint marker. This was the best I had, and I thought it was, a fine enough point to where I could get the job done, but it really wasn't. So I decided to pull out the label maker. That worked out really well and is a lot less permanent. So that's today's plan. Show you how a normal person would do it, who already has their loads, who already has things set up. They just want to sit down and crank out some ammo. Now at the end of the last video, I had 10 shots left over that are loaded with accurate 1680. The next 10 rounds are loaded with Reloder 7. These are the ones I loaded whenever I was setting all this crap up. So I want to fill up the rest of this box with these 30 pieces. This is S&B brass, and if you go back a little ways, I did a video on an ultrasonic cleaner, and we ran this brass through an ultrasonic cleaner, so it's mostly clean, and I was able to, sort head stamps. So we're not going to be doing any additional cleaning to this. So if you're going to use this video as kind of a template of what you need as a bare minimum to get started, you're going to need something to clean brass most likely, especially if you're shooting 7.62x39 and digging brass out of the mud and stuff. You're going to want a way to clean it, which will not be covered in today's video program. All right, for case lube, I'm going to use some Hornady One Shot. Give these a halfway decent coating. Make sure to get some down in the neck. something like that, and that, and that. And then flip them around. And maybe a little bit more. Now spraying them in your tray does make your tray gunky. Like the Hornady one-shot isn't bad. Like it's not a greasy feeling that's left behind, or at least it's not too bad. But spraying them in a tray does kind of keep the lube concentrated up here where you want it the most. So these need a little bit of time to dry off, and I'm going to go ahead and pull them out of the tray and then wipe down my tray. I guess since I don't have a wall here, you guys can go on the right-hand side of the press. It's a little bit weird, man. All right, so with our Lee quick change system, this is our sizing die. It goes down in and turns about 90 degrees, and it's locked in. The new Lee lock rings with the ridges around them, they do have these little ridiculous. This newest style of Lee lock rings, they do have like these little wrenches that they come with. And, you know, I guess it kind of works. It is important to get them snug. Actually, earlier, this exact same die, when I was setting it up and sizing my first few pieces, it did come a little bit loose on me. So we're not going to let that happen. All right, up into the die, and then down. Now the spent primer that ejected from that case hit the ground here somewhere. There it is. Yeah, so the spent primers are supposed to go in this little window here, and they collect under the press. So whenever we take this press up off the board, we're going to have a pile of spent primers there. Not exactly the most convenient or cleanest setup, but it does get the job done. Now this brass came from one of those once fired brass outfits. So I don't know what it was shot in, and some of it's kind of pretty difficult to resize to get up in the die all the way. And this, you know, this little press only has so much power. So it's a little bit of a workout, especially on this flimsy table. Like the board's solid, everything's solid, but you know, the whole table's not. I haven't actually tried it myself, but I've had some people tell me that, you know, they just clamp a board this way and it still works. But I've always just stuck with the board running across. Well, my poor stud in the back has finally given up. So I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna need to rethink my mounting strategy here. It's worked for years, but yeah, you can see it was never going to hold. I might just get these out of there and just put it in with some deck screws for now. All right, a couple deck screws to hold it down, and we're back in business. Some of this brass is a pain in the butt to resize. Most of it's not bad, but every once in a while you get some pieces that are pretty tough. Now we're shooting 310 diameter bullets today, and this die, just double checking this here real quick, spotted that as it came out. Looks okay. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So this Reading sizing die has got an expander ball in it for loading 308 diameter bullets. We're loading 310s, so I need the neck to be a little bit bigger if I want smooth bullet seating. Well, some of you guys mentioned after the last video that your Reading dies came with both size expanders, because at that time I hadn't been able to find a part number or anything. I hadn't called Reading yet, but I didn't find a part number in their catalog or anything. So yeah, you guys let me know that I can get the new expander ball, so I'm going to do that. Haven't done it yet though, so I'm going to pull the same trick we used in the last video. This is an expander mandrel. So I just need to run each case up over the mandrel to open that neck up just a little bit more, and then we're done. But once I have the correct expander ball, I won't have to do this step. So about half of these don't need trimmed at all, and yeah, like that one's not even touching. But going ahead and giving it a try, and then cleaning up the case mouth a little bit. And that one's ready for a primer. There have been a couple in the batch though that needed trimmed a bunch. which you're going to have that. Like I said, this is mixed brass of unknown origin. Yeah, most of them are kind of like that. 4 or 5 rotations and you're good to go. I thought about taking this Trim Pro. I've got it on a quick change plate for the inline fabrications kit. I was going to remove it and go ahead and mount it to my board. I may do that eventually, but it seemed like a lot of work, especially if I get the bench put back together quickly. I've got like 5 other ways to trim that would probably be easier than the Trim Pro, but this one was already set up from our last video, so I knew I didn't even need to adjust anything. So that seemed pretty easy. I guess that's the theme for the video. What's it like to reload when you're not screwing around with everything and trying new stuff? So we'll start out with our 10 shots of Alliant 2400, 14.5 grains. So this guy just slips in there, and then you screw the knob on the other side. Now getting the tension correct on this seems to be critical, especially with the Lee Perfect powder measure, which is the plastic version of this. This is the deluxe metal version. Like, so far so good. And you know, the main drum that comes with this guy is metal as well. But with the Perfect powder measure, people have problems with them leaking. And I've never experienced it, so I honestly don't know exactly what is causing people's problems, but I think it's powder that gets between, you know, the taper of the drum and the taper of this, or I guess this is the drum, whatever, you get it. I think it's this surface gets roughed up or something, and then it's leaky, I guess. But like, so I just, you know, barely get the thread started here. And at this point, you know, it's totally loose. So I keep tightening it until it gets to a point where it doesn't fall down on itself or by itself. Let me loosen it up just a touch. Like, yeah, like that one there where it's falling on its own, a little bit too loose. Yeah, there we go. I like to get it just to where barely sticks all the way through. And that's still, you know, it's not tight. It's not uncomfortable to use in any way. So that's how I've been setting it up. So far so good, no leaking with either the plastic drums or the metal one. So the plastic bottle on the top of this pops off. And what you can do is screw this cap right onto your powder bottle, unless you're using an Alliant bottle. I'm not sure about Vitivori. Vitivori probably wouldn't work either, but yeah, it's too big for the Alliant bottles. That's okay. We'll just dump some in here. So the body twists and shuts the flow on and off, like that. So if we go like that, we should be able to flip it upside down without dumping powder everywhere, and then sit it on there. And then whenever you want the flow to start, you just turn it that way. And now we're ready to go. I need a scale. We need to double check this. All right, so I've got the scale on and warming up. I want to show you guys some pans really quick, because somebody reached out to me on Patreon to give me a heads up about these new pans that had shown up on Amazon. Here we go, company's Neoway anti-static powder pans. These were $8.25 for 3 pans. Came in this nice little pouch, a dinky little guy that probably won't be that useful for us, but a middle size that's perfectly useful, and then kind of the standard full size that we're used to. So this is a smoking good deal, because these anodized pans are often much more expensive. Like $20 just for one, sort of expensive sometimes. So this is pretty cool. Like, I wiped it down really good, and like I had some alcohol. I just kind of rubbed at one section for a while to see like if this was some sort of cheaper finish. No, I think it's, by God, I think it's anodized aluminum. So they haven't been on Amazon long. Like I mentioned, I bought them for $8.25. They're already $9.25. So if you want to get some before you before they're 30 bucks, then I'll have a link down in the description. As much as I've talked about my frustrations with powder pans, I should probably make a separate video just for these, but it seems a little bit silly to make a standalone powder pan video. All right, let's see if we're warmed up. I bet we are. And we need to zero that. Flip this around so you guys can see it. Is that crooked enough for you? I don't know where my tweezers are. All right, here's 20 grains. Oh, there they are. Over here. And let's do another 20. 40.0. Okay, so our scale is reading correctly today. And one thing I hate, I'll show you here in just a second, next time I feel like moving the camera, but to dump a powder charge, I really need to dump it into an empty case. So let me do that. Let's see, what's our number? 14.5 is what we're looking for. Here's the first one. 14.4. Pretty close. We'll just dump another one right on top of it. So that should be 31. Or I'm sorry, it should be 29. I can count sometimes. All right, what's next? Like 42.5? 43.5? All right, one more. 57.9. So, okay, let's see. That should be 58, right? Yes. Tap it out. Make sure I got all of it out of there. Good deal. So that is perfect. Or actually, it just changed to perfect. Tell you what, just because the powder measure is new and I want to test it, let's do that one more time. Number 1. Perfect. 14.5. 29 this time. Yep, perfect. I've found this powder measure to do a really, really good job. There's the next one. It's like we're a 10th high. And here's our last one. 58.1. Good deal. Yeah, that is very good. And so far with this powder measure, I haven't really found the need to run charges through it to get it stabilized or whatever. It's like once you throw 1 or 2 charges with this, like it's ready to rock. It's pretty cool. I may need to pull this guy out of there to show you, but there's no like, well, I'll tell you what, let me throw these 10 charges and then I'll pull out the powder measure and give you a better look. Tell you the other cool thing I've found about this powder measure is I don't really have to be as aggressive with the handle as I am sometimes with other powder measures in order to get consistent results. You know, still requires consistent technique and all of that. You want to do it the same every time, but where with some of the others, you know, I'm like extra taps on the bottom, extra taps on the top. I just haven't really found the need with this one. Quick visual inspection of all of our charges. Make sure I didn't miss one. Yep, they all look good. And actually, so I don't spill everything everywhere, I'm just going to go ahead and seat these first 10 bullets. So here's our bullet seating die. Tighten that up real quick. And we're off and running. Cantilever looks just about right. Target overall length is 2.2. I think I was a couple thousandths short on some of my earlier tests. Yep, 2.198, perfect. Close enough. Okay, let's walk through emptying this beast. First things first, we turn it that way, 90 degrees. So that stops the flow. And then I guess I could go ahead and show you what it looks like if you try and dump a charge into a pan, which, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to see it. Which actually wasn't too bad here this time. Last time I tried that, I splashed out a bunch of powder, but at least this time here with 2400, it seemed to work okay. So now that the body's empty, we just lift this guy off and we're good. So it's pretty easy to switch this guy over and clean it as well, because, you know, once you take out the drum, which of course, you know, that gives you access to the places powder might be hiding here, but also pretty much everything's wide open right here inside. So easy to clean, easy to switch with these drums. Now these yeah, like this pack of 4 drums did not come with this. This is an accessory that works with this powder measure and several others. So I can't remember what this kit of 4 cost, but knowing Lee, it's probably pretty reasonable. All right, Reloder 7 is going in. And open up the flow. See what this gives us. First one's perfect, 25.5. Let's go ahead and do another one, 51.1, so we're a 10th heavy right now. 76.6, we're still a 10th heavy. And 102.2. So we had 2 charges that were perfect, and then we had 2 charges that were a 10th over. So if I wanted to adjust this, that's what this little, well, let me grab this guy here. This big threaded piece here just goes in and out and moves the little plunger down in there up and down. And this little thing right here is a tool that pops loose. That goes down in there and allows you to adjust it. So I'm totally cool with what we just saw with this one. And I'm not going to touch it. Let's run through one more quick average of 4. Now remember, Reloder 7 is an extruded powder. It's a very small extruded powder, but it's still, you know, an extruded powder. And these Lee powder measures have a little like rubberized wiper in them that makes them work better than anything else I've ever tried with extruded powders. Yeah, both of our charges have been a 10th high so far. So yeah, it just seems like I set this one just a little bit high. 102.5. Yep, so 5/10 high spread out over 4 samples there. Totally good with me. We're not really near max, so in the right ballpark is good with me. What's more important is that they're consistent throw to throw, and this powder measure has been really good with that so far. Tell you what, with these, we can just go ahead and do them, you know, touch each piece of brass one time. So throw our charge, visually inspect the charge, and then go ahead and seat our bullet. Tell you what I should do is move my box of bullets over here to the right-hand side. I'm not used to having access on the right-hand side. Makes life a lot easier. All right, now it's all torn down and ready to be put away. This poor bag's a little full. There's a bunch of crap we didn't actually use in this video that I just know I'm going to use in some other videos. So I couldn't quite fit the trimmer. We've got 50 shots ready to go. So let's go ahead and get out to the range. So it's been raining all day today, but it's been nice and light. It's actually really, really nice out here. Temperature in the 60s and just this drizzle that occasionally gets heavier. Now, hopefully, the rain hitting the roof here in my SKS brass catcher is pleasant and relaxing rather than annoying. I don't know. I don't know how audio is going to work today. We'll see. So you might notice some changes here with the gun. I did remove, so I removed the bayonet and the cleaning rod. A couple of you had recommended that I do that. So I thought it was worth a shot because if you saw last Sunday's video with the 22-250, I did put in this 4-end stop, right? This gives a place where, you know, you can have your gun in a consistent position relative to your bags. So I noticed that it was probably going to work just fine if I took off the bayonet and cleaning rod. So here we are. think it's going to be a good setup. And much like last week's video, I've been out here a while. I've just kind of been sitting here. I've been doing some dry firing, trying to, get my bags all settled in and get a nice consistent sight picture burned into my brain. So with the relaxing rain, I'm expecting some good groups today. The target's at 100 yards. This is the Shot Marker electronic target system. The target you see on the screen, it's the NRA SR1, 100-yard military style target. And that's actually what I've got posted and what I'm shooting at. I did add a 2-inch orange dot in the center. I thought with the overcast today, it would be nice and visible for me and might give me a little bit more control with my front side post. Not necessarily as a place to aim, but as a place to where I can check to make sure my front side post isn't creeping higher or lower than I want. Because, it's tough. The front side post is bigger than the black center of the target. So sometimes it's just easy to kind of lose my reference spot. Whatever, I got an orange dot. I think it's gonna help. Velocity. Lab radar. The target's at 100 yards. Did I mention that? Hopefully. So let's start out with a magazine full of the Accurate 1680 ammo we loaded in the last video. Just looking back to see what size group we shot with this ammo last time, and I didn't write it down. I think it was 3 or 4 inches. I think pretty much everything was shooting 3 or 4 inches, so I didn't take a ton of notes, but velocity was 1898 last time, so it'll be interesting to see if that changes. Okay, 10 shots. Okay, first velocity was 1807. It's like we hit pretty low, but that's where our group was last time, if I'm remembering correctly, about that 430 area. Oh, no, I remember what happened. I adjusted the shot marker so that the shots were hitting near the center, and then last week for the 22-250, I changed that back. All right, that's what we'll do, is we'll adjust the shot marker so that shot's dead center, and we'll see how that works. Okay, a little bit higher that time. Okay, now that it looks like everything's working, shot marker's picking up the shots. These next 8, I'm not going to break cheek weld. I'm not going to look at the target. I'm just going to bear down and see if I can group them. My glasses keep fogging up. All right, my glasses fogging is getting out of control. Good golly, 6.3 inches. What am I doing? So much for being ready. All right, I've got a small fan that I'm thinking might help. Let's clear these first 5. Don't want to look at them. All right, 5 more. All right, those felt like good shots. Wow, looks like we lost that one super high, didn't we? That's weird. So the other 4 went into just about 4 inches, so 3.91 inches. I expected a better result than that. All right, took a little break. Forgot to compare the velocities. So let's see, last time that load averaged 1898, and today it averaged 1899, so almost exactly the same. Yeah, last time we had an extreme spread of 90, which was already bad, and today had an extreme spread of 278. So that's just, well, and that Accurate 1680 load from the last video, if you don't remember, like it is leaving a lot of soot on the cases. Like it's a very light load, but I had these 10 shots and just wanted to get rid of them. But we'll definitely be moving up in charge weight the next time we're testing 1680. So here's my thought about the crappy groups so far. So what's changed? We removed the bayonet and the cleaning rod, and we're using this stop. Now like I mentioned, that 22-250 video where this was a huge help and improved our groups, well, that gun's got a glass bedded stock with a free floated barrel. So pressure on the forend is having no impact. In this case, it's a much different story. So what I want to do is I want to shoot a group with Reloder 7, our rounds that we loaded today. And if it's super crappy, or maybe even if it isn't, we'll try a group without the stop, and then maybe we put the bayonet and cleaning rod back in. Yeah, I like that plan. Let's go with that plan. So here's 5 shots of our 25.5 grains of Reloder 7 ammo. I want to shoot one, then run down the brass, make sure we're looking okay there. Forgot to clear the target. It's okay, it's kind of good to see that it went into the same group with those other 3 from the last one. I'll tell you what I'm going to do while I'm in here is let's change my shot marker calibration. There we go. Now our good shots are hitting in the center. Now let me see if I can find this piece of brass. It's actually been pretty easy, like the previous 10 shots, found them okay. This canopy is working pretty well. All the brass seems to be going up. Because, you know, last video I had that wall up back here, that white wall that was ugly to look at. So I wanted to enjoy the weather today. And I was afraid I was going to start losing some brass. All right, whatever. Let me see if I can find that piece. I guess first I should check and make sure that it ejected. Yeah, definitely not in there. Okay, I give up. I can't find that brass. But the gun didn't blow up, and it clearly extracted and ejected. So first, let me clear this target, and we'll shoot another one. Hey, it landed right on my shoulder. Ow, that's hot. So the first two velocities with Reloder 7 are 2157 and 2170. So 250 feet per second faster than our accurate 1680 load was, which is good because brass still looks awesome. Primer's rounded, but yeah, it's not sooty and smoky like we were seeing with that lighter load. A little bit here on one side. See if that's a trend. All right, I'm going to load 4. So we'll make this a 5-shot group. See what it looks like. We're all over the place, aren't we? Yeah, we sure are. Does seem to be a whole lot of vertical today, and I'm feeling pretty good about my vertical hold. So I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to remove this. I'll tell you what, I'm going to remove this and we'll shoot it in this configuration with no bayonet and cleaning rod, and then we'll move forward from there, right? Let's just do it one step at a time. So, all right, let me make some adjustments. All right, that actually went a whole lot easier than I thought it was going to. I had a bunch of nuts heat shrunk together, and they all came off in one piece. Didn't even mess up my heat shrink job. So should be easy to put back on there for the 22-250. Let's see, did we get our average velocity after 5 shots? I don't think we did. All right, really good numbers. Velocity 2163, standard deviation 5.6, and extreme spread of 13. So we'll keep collecting data on that, but so far so good. All right, so I think this is going to be fine without the 4-inch stop, because like my bags are in really good shape. I'm not messing with my bags. And as the gun goes forward of your normal position, the sights tilt down, and then as you come back, they tilt up. So as long as I don't mess with my bags, whenever I get the sights lined up, I should be in roughly the same spot. That's the theory. Okay, 5 shots in the magazine. Let's clear the target. Yeah, this was 6.67 inches. All right, any better? Oh, yeah. How about that? How about that? Interesting stuff. Man, if a little bit of 4-in pressure was causing that much problem. All right, I'll tell you what, I got a weird row with 4 in it. So let's shoot 4 more. See if this keeps going. It makes me feel a whole lot better, because some of those earlier groups, I was like, man, that felt good. Like at least as good as last time. All right, 5 shots. Doesn't tell us much. Let's keep going. Okay. All right, so that didn't quite go like I hoped. Man, they're spread all over the place too, aren't they? Well, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Let's put the bayonet back on. Let's put the cleaning rod back in, and try it in that configuration. All right, so I've got us back into standard configuration. This is how we were shooting it last time. See if things change. Well, it looks like hopefully that's a point of impact shift and not just a continuation of the group opening up. Okay, what a mess. Let's see, what do we got here? Should have cleared the target, definitely. All right, so that's our last shot. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, let me hide all of the others. Okay, good. Those are our last 5 shots. So definitely a pretty significant point of impact shift, which is good to know. Which I've got 10 more shots here with Reloder 7. Maybe I should extend the bayonet and we can shoot one and see where that puts the group. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so our bayonet is fixed. We'll shoot 3 shots and see what happens. Okay, how's that look? 1, 2, 1. Let's see, that's our last. That one, that one. Okay. So it looks like our point of impact dropped and went left, just a smidge. Good, that's not too dramatic. So that's bayonet affixed and bayonet stowed. So that's not awful. So both positions and we're still 8.5 inches. Could be worse. Okay, so these last 3 I'm going to hide, which brings us back to our normal group of 5 shots in this configuration. So I've got 7 shots left. I'm going to load them all up and we'll make this a 12-shot group. Here we go. Okay, how did we do? Not very good, it looks like. The last shot, that one, that one, that one, that one. Well, 6.65 inches. Not exactly what I was hoping for. That's okay. Let's see what the velocity numbers look like. Yeah, so we didn't quite hold on to that really good standard deviation. So our final average is 2170. Where's my pen? Yeah, our final average was 2170. Standard deviation 22.9 and extreme spread of 100. And that is a 30 shot sample. So we got all 30 shots. All right, it's time to switch to Alliant 2400, which means I need to pick up all my brass. So we'll be able to find the 2400 brass. All right, so I found all of the brass except for one piece. That ought to be good enough. What was our charge? Yeah, 14.5 grains of it. I probably didn't explain very well earlier that this is probably not a good choice for jacketed bullets in this cartridge. Like, even if it works, velocity is going to be very low, and it's more dangerous to load with this than it is with, you know, something like Reloder 7. A double charge will fit in the case, those sorts of things. So I'm testing this just to basically see if it will run the gun, not necessarily as a candidate for my favorite SKS powder, right? Now, if we go to lead bullets, much different story. This would be right near the top of the list if we do a cast lead load. All right, I need to clear the target, and we'll see if it cycles. Just going to load one. We'll see if it locks the bolt back. All right, we hit the paper. That's good. So it definitely wasn't a squib. Our brass just kind of barely made it out. Is our bolt? Yeah, bolt's all the way back, but the case, which is still very hot, extremely sooty. And for some reason, shot marker did not pick up. It didn't track the projectile. Let's load 2 of them next and see if it'll cycle through them. Yep, we're not in battery here. Yep, that piece of brass didn't quite make it out. Finally got a Velocity. That was the first one, and it's 1735. So the two pieces that did get ejected, the brass seems good to go. The one that didn't, not so much. The mouth got torn up pretty good. Actually, I think you can see it from there. Yep, so that's going to be a junk piece of brass. All right, here's two more. Let's give this whole cycling thing a try again. Nope, looks like the exact same thing happened. And the same damage to the case mouth. So we'll shoot these one at a time from here on out. Now pressure signs on the brass look fine. I think I'm like right about the middle of the charge weight range. A little bit nervous, you know, because Lee was the only data source that had some jacketed info. So I think I'm right around the middle of their charge weight range. That one didn't eject. So that one actually ejected. The brass went a decent distance, but it didn't lock back. So that one got partially ejected and got a little bit of case mouth damage, but I think it's going to be okay. Not nearly as severe. All right, last shot. It's like most of those were trying to group, weren't they? Yeah, so overall, you know, 10.2 inch group. Not looking too hot, but if we get rid of these two, the rest went into 4.5 inches. Let's see if the lab radar picked up any additional velocities. I think that one is the only one it got. I'm not sure why. Maybe it moved or something. Yeah, it looks like we only picked up 2 shots. One of them was 1821 and the other was 1735. So not sure whether to trust those or not. Just going to make a note that it was around 1800 feet per second. And what was the target velocities we were seeing? Yeah, shot marker up here in the corner shows target velocity average of 1410. Okay, well, I feel like I got a lot of thinking to do. Is it time to give up on the, you know, the concept of accuracy with this gun? Is, you know, 4 or 5 inch groups about all we're going to be able to expect? If that's the case, that's totally okay. The fact that the gun seems to be able to safely shoot and function is as much as I hoped for whenever I bought it. As, you know, surplus gun in Cosmoline, you never know what you're going to get. And with the pitted chamber we found, and you know, with all of those things added up, if it's just a range toy that doesn't shoot all that well, totally good with that. But I'm not quite ready to give up. For one thing, I do have an optometrist appointment scheduled, so I hopefully going to get some fresh glasses. What might be helpful in the next video is to bring the target to 50 yards. Maybe I could get a little more precise with my aiming. That's probably what we'll do, because I'm not going to have glasses by the time we get back on the range with this guy probably. So we'll bring the target to 50 yards and give it another shot. And while we're doing that, you know, we'll test some additional powders and bullets and stuff. Because, you know, even if accuracy is maybe getting dropped down on the priority list, you know, stuff like what powders I can load and get the gun to function right is still, you know, a worthy goal and something I definitely want to figure out. So yeah, all hope is not lost quite yet. You guys want to see the brass? I can give you an up close look at the brass, but there's not much going on. And I think at this point, so I've got, well, once I find a couple more pieces here, we've got about 100 pieces of fired brass or something less than that. So that might be what we do in the next videos. I'll clean up this brass and that'll let us have a really close inspection of it. Because I am, you know, this gun is scraping the side of the brass. We just, you know, saw some case mouth damage on those couple of pieces. So maybe we'll do that in the next video. Kind of an up close look at all of the brass we've shot so far, just to see how rough the SKS is being with it. So I think that's where we'll just leave it. I appreciate you joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.